I organised a workshop led by a young Oxford poet called Shukria Rezaei. Shukria is originally from Afghanistan, but she's been at school in Oxford, in a school in East Oxford called Oxford Spires Academy, and she's a very successful young poet. One of the things we wanted to do as part of the LinguaMania project is to mix creative writing and translation. And Shukria has been doing this by working with the Persian poet, the 13th century Persian poet Rumi. What's interesting here is that Rumi is a poet Shukria knew already in Persian before she came to the UK. In the UK, she's rediscovered him in a new way through reading English language versions. And what she wanted to do, and what we've done this evening, is share with people here this evening how she's worked with these poems of Rumi's and used them to discover her own voice. So what she did was read out a poem in Persian, read out a literal translation, read out her own version, and then invited the participants to have a go at writing their own version inspired by what they'd heard. And it was a great event. Well, it links to questions about what translation is, how translation functions in culture, and how we think about it. Translation is often thought of as quite a disciplined activity, something that you do in school and gets corrected, something that's a matter of right and wrong. But if you think about it, if you look around you, translation is happening all over the place, all the time. And even if you think about literary classics, obviously poems, poets like Dante's Divine Comedy, and novels too, new translations are being produced all the time. Part of the reason for this is that language is very varied, so a translation isn't just being done into English, it's being done into a particular kind of English, on a particular day, a particular moment, a particular person's English. So everyone is going to translate something slightly differently. Also, especially when you're thinking about literary texts are obviously very rich in meaning, so that in translating, you're reading, you're not just taking a meaning that's there, you're reading your way into the text, discovering a meaning, and finding a way of rephrasing that in your own language. So, because of this, translation is inherently creative. People often think there's a difference. Translation is a kind of skill, and creativity is something different from that. But our view is that translation is something inherently creative. What we're doing in the research project part of creative multilingualism is exploring how that's worked in literary translations across the centuries. But it's brilliant also to do that in tandem with these creative writing and creative translation workshops happening in Oxford Spires Academy. And that's what we've been sharing with the public here this evening.